All right, guys, I just wanted to showcase my latest coding project that I've been building, which is a utility for managing your personal knowledge systems. Note-taking has become a very popular way to keep track of all the thoughts in your head, especially as a lot of us are kind of wanting to transition away from, potentially paying for note-taking services, and we want to keep our own notes. And there's many different note-taking systems out there. There's the Johnny Decimal system. There's building your own system, which is the way I highly recommend it. But even when you build your own system, there is a base note-taking system that you kind of need to build off of, and then you can let things evolve with you. And my personal favorite in this regard is the zettk-cli system. Not to go into too many details about it, because I want to keep this video very brief, but the idea behind the zettk-cli is that the structure of the note system grows with you. So you aren't coming with like this hard built, hard defined note taking system that you then have to use. It just allows you to naturally grow, and as your needs evolve, you can make small changes to it here and there. The problem, of course, with these kinds of note-taking systems is that even though the zettk-cli in itself is a very easy to utilize system, there's only three main folders that you use. You have your inbox, which is where any new note that you create goes into. You have the archive, which is where notes go once they're fully fleshed out. And then you have the references, which is where you keep notes and links to your external information that you've found from either books or the internet. And even though it's a very beautiful and very simple system, the biggest problem with it is that there isn't really a good note-taking solution for it. You have some services by zettk and Purist, but they charge money because they're trying to make some money off of it. Another option is Obsidian, and while Obsidian is fantastic note-taking software, it does have a very high skill ceiling, and I feel like that is demotivating, and it actually detracts from the zettk system, because then you get caught up in this entire plugin and the overall complexity of Obsidian, which I've referenced in a previous video where I showcased how I use Obsidian. So to solve this, I've created the zettk-cli, which is a little utility that I wrote in the Go programming language, which is going to allow you to create and manage your zettk system basically dynamically. It does most of the heavy lifting for you, and it provides what I like to think of as a batteries included setup, but while still also allowing you to customize it as your needs grow and evolve. Now, there are several basic tools in it. As you can see, when we run the help command, you have the daily note, you have the init, you have new, and you have SP. Now, I'm just going to go in order of these just to highlight what a typical workflow might look like. So when you first download the program, I'm going to recommend that you run zettk-cli init. Now, what this does, as you can see, is it actually will initialize a new zettk with subdirectories. Now, I tried to keep it as close to the vanilla setup as possible, the original zettk proposal, while also still, considering, the difference between keeping it on pen and paper like original zettk were kept versus the reality of trying to do it on a computer like I am. Now, the way the utility works is you would run zettk-cli init, and you don't have to pass in a flag if you don't want to. It will just automatically default to zettk. But if you wanted to create a custom name for your zettk, you do -- name, and we're going to just call this test zk. And if we look, it's now created, and if we wanted to look inside what's in the test zettk, you can see it's created all of our full subdirectories and templates automatically for you. Now, what's really cool about this is that if you try running it again, you'll notice it's going to ask you, hey, there's a directory already here that exists with this. What the program is basically doing is there a zettk already here? Oh, there is. Does he want me to wipe it and create a new one? And obviously, we don't want to do that, so we'll just press N for no, and you'll see it just automatically aborts the command. Now that I've showcased the zettk and initialize, I'm actually going to move into my actual zettk, so I can showcase the rest of the commands. Now again, if we go to zettk-cli -- help, The two most common commands that I use are new and sp. I'm going to save daily for last. The new command creates a new note and automatically updates the zettl-cast. For example, and when it creates the new note, it'll actually move it to the inbox. So if, for example, we were to look at my inbox, you can see all of my notes that I currently have that I'm still working on. And you'll notice that there's a numeric string that, or a numerical number that precedes every single file. Now, this is actually how the zettl-cast gets organized. It's a unique ID for every single file, so when you're writing your notes, you can cross-reference to that number, which is your reference number, as opposed to trying to remember the actual title of your note. And it's a very simple strategy. All it is the date and time written in ISO format without any sort of hyphens or colons or anything like that. And that's a good enough system that you won't have duplicate notes or notes with the same exact numerical reference. So let's create a new note right now. We're going to go zettk-cli new, and let's call this test note. Now, you don't need to type in any extensions, just type in zettk-cli new test note. And you'll notice it automatically will it'll automatically create this little template for you at the top, which specializes the type it is. So in this case, it's a note. It'll automatically populate the title. It'll specify when it was created, and it will also give you tags. Now, I'd like to make one thing clear. This video is not a video discussing how zettl-cast work. There's plenty of extremely good resources for how zettl-cast work and how you should organize it. My personal favorite YouTuber for zettl-cast is Misha Vandenberg, and I'll link his video on how he uses his zettl-cast down in the comments section. But now that we're in our node, we can do something like, this is a test note. Hello, YouTube. And we can now just exit out of it. And if we were to go look inside of my inbox again, the test note is now there. But what's really cool about it is that you might have noticed when we ran if we run zettk-cli new --help, you'll notice we actually have one option we can pass to it, the -t or --template. Now, this is where the true power of using a computer zettl-cast comes in, and this is why I wrote this in my program, is you can actually write your own custom templates for notes. So for example, let's go look at my reference.md template, and you'll see I keep some additional information in it, such as when it was created, or more specifically, who the source of this material was. Was it a website, or was it a book, or was it whatever it was. But what this means is that if I want to create a note with a specific template, I can do zettk-cli new --template reference --template reference. If I actually remembered the name of the title, we're going to call this example reference. And you can see it automatically pulls the correct template, and we can say, now we have our second one. And as you can see, if we were to again go tree the inbox, you can see there's our new created note right there. Now, also in the zettk-cli is the sp command. Now, sp stands for scratchpad. And all this scratchpad is it's just something to keep some stuff going for your it's just like a little quick to-do list to just jot quick things down that they don't really fit in a note, and it's not something that you want to commit to your long-term storage on your zettl-cast note-taking system, but it's stuff that you just don't want to forget. So as you can see, I have a to-do list, stuff for my home lab. This doesn't even matter because these ports are internal only, so I don't need to worry about that, and stuff like that. And it's just a quick shorthanded shortcut to just get there as fast as possible. The other big command, and the last one I want to highlight, is the daily command. Now, if we run zettk-cli daily, or actually, what I'll first do is I'm actually going to go into I'm going to go into the archive, and you'll notice there's a daily notes directory in here. And if we go into the daily notes directory, you'll see I have notes, and each note is just the date. Now, the way the daily note works in my zettl-cast utility is that anytime you create a note, it automatically will create it will automatically find the corresponding daily note and automatically put a link in there. So if we were to go look at today's note, you'll notice I have notes right. You can see here's like the first note I created. These are all the notes that I've created today, and it includes the links of where these notes are located. And the reason I do that is because I want there to be a track record of how many notes I was making per day. That's just the best way to go about doing it. Now, you can also manually access this by going to the daily shortcut, which will automatically grab the current day's daily note or create it if it doesn't exist. But that is the extent of my current zettl-cast system. It is currently hosted on my Codeberg instance, and I will be compiling and releasing a Go binary for it very soon, so you won't even have to build it yourself. You'll be able to just do it straight from source. However, the reason that I did elect to do it and release it open source is because I wanted this to be easily modifiable. So when you look at the code base, you can clearly see all the commands, and you can customize it to your own personal needs, very similar to a NeoVim style system, which does lead to one requirement. This entire system does hinge on the use of NeoVim. So if you know how to use NeoVim or another text editor, you can very easily change the command. I've highlighted where that is in the source code, but it is built around a NeoVim style configuration. So if you're not comfortable using Vim or NeoVim, Obsidian might in fact be a better reference for you. However, if you're comfortable in terminals in NeoVim, might I recommend you try zettk-cli.